Hey everybody, happy Tuesday, Jeannie Andreessen here. I am so excited for today's live. Today we are going to have one of my clients, Airin, join. So she should be hopping on any minute now. And this is going to be such a great experience for you to be able to hear from Airin about her experience investing in coaching, what she got out of it, and how she feels afterwards. So we're gonna hang for Airin to join. She is here. Airin, waiting on your request. Let me see. Oh yeah.
Hi!
We did it.
We did it!
I feel like I need to like shrink a little or something to get in the screen. You
Or
guys got
I
a
need to
great view
I
of
need to,
my
yeah,
of my
do
kit.
this. My nice little ladder in the
You know
background.
what? It's so nice to see you. We've always Zoomed, and I feel like I've never seen your apartment because you always have that like Paris background.
I've got my little
Beautiful.
I've got my little wall back there, but like there's some good lighting in this little area, so I've got my ladder for our
I
background today.
love it. But like really, I love your apartment. I don't even know why you put up a fake Zoom background. It's lovely.
Well, this isn't where my desk is, so like where my desk
Um,
is, it's like a white wall. So
um,
yeah.
okay, I get it. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh my
As
God.
I
Thanks for having me.
mentioned, everybody, this is my client, Airin. If you are new to me, so whoever might be watching, if you are new to me, so my name is Jeannie Andreessen. I am a life coach focused on you living your best, most authentic life by getting clear on what that is and breaking through the fear and the self-doubt that is holding you back from achieving it and making it reality. I am going to adjust this slightly. Let me see if I can push it down.
You're
Did that
good.
help? It helped a little. So that is who I am and what I do. And I have one of my favorite clients here, Airin Virgilio. And Airin is going to share more about her experience enrolling in this coaching program and what she got out of it and what led her to me in the first place and so on and so forth. So if you have any questions at all throughout this conversation, do not hesitate to drop them in the chat because we will make sure that we cover them. I also want to share a little bit more about a program I'm running. So up until this point, I've always brought on one-on-one clients, and we've worked together for 3 months for those 12 weeks. And right now I am actually enrolling my first hybrid program, which is going to be a one-on-one coaching program and a group coaching program called You Elevated. So in You Elevated, it's 12 weeks of us coaching one-on-one, but also every other week, us meeting up together as a group and me walking you through different mentoring lessons that help you live your best, most authentic and elevated life. So we're going to end chatting a little bit about that, but this live is focused on Airin. And so that being
No
said,
pressure.
without further ado, Airin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, what you do, what lights you up? Just give us a little Airin.
Okay. So I am just a 28-year-old living in the city of Chicago. I work in digital marketing. So I work for an agency. I've been doing this, since college. I studied advertising and I've been in the agency world pretty much since then. I am, I know a lot of the people watching right now know this, but I'm super passionate, in my day-to-day life of supporting small businesses, especially in the city of Chicago. I love to go and explore and find new restaurants and businesses and ways that I can support. I'm really passionate about cooking and food. And so I cook a lot of the times, especially with like local ingredients that I can find in farmers markets around me. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm here in my apartment in the wonderful neighborhood of Lakeview East. And I think that's it.
Love it. Not too far from me. That's why you
Yeah.
and I have got to get together sometime soon. Airin, what were you struggling with when you first heard about me, came across me? For how long were you struggling with it before you knew about the work that I did?
Yeah. So basically, I think I was struggling for a while. It was maybe on and off like a couple years, honestly. And I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with. But, you know, this idea and this feeling of like feeling like you're not living to your fullest potential. And it's something that I, you know, really to my core struggle with when I have that feeling. And, you know, it can be work related, it can be personal related. And a lot of the times I think, you know, the pandemic was part of that for me. It's like you're really sitting with yourself. You know, I live alone and you're sitting with yourself and what you're doing day to day, and it feels like Groundhog Day. And it got to a point where I just, you know, I was frustrated. I felt like nothing was working that I was trying to do, and I was reaching in different directions, and I was feeling stuck. So this, you know, family connection helped, you know, help me find you. And yeah, we started working together and the rest was history.
Awesome. How quickly did you make the decision to work with me? Talk to me a little bit about what that decision making looked like. So you heard about me. I know that your mom had said something, because here's our family connection, everyone. I feel like this is the most fun thing. In a way, it's like, I'm like, Airin's like my sister.
Yeah.
No, so Airin's mom is dating my dad's brother, Jim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Airin and I did not
meet
know
before
about
this. I literally didn't
say?
know that we never met before this.
Never met, didn't really know each other existed.
I didn't know you
knew, like, but generally we were not in each other's lives. And now I'm like, I've met my sister. This is so cool.
Yes. And so actually how I, you know, like came about this path is I was talking to my mom and Jim about my feelings and my struggles and, you know, okay, I'm frustrated. And she was like, okay, you know, my mom said, and Jim was like, oh, well, you should check out Jeannie. She's starting her own business and she's doing some stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I can just reach out to her for advice, not knowing that the services you were providing was literally exactly, it felt so much like fate. It was crazy. Yeah. And, you know, if anyone goes on your website, you'll see, you know, it's helping women especially, but people in general live their authentic lives. And I was like, cool, that's what I want to do. So let's have a conversation. So back to your question, you know, it was a pretty quick decision for me. I think that it happened, the timing was like so, you know, full of fate and perfect, because I was just at that point where I could have tried anything. And I had so much faith, you know, because it was that family connection, but just in general, like seeing your videos on Instagram, seeing the way that you work, feeling like we were similar in our values and our personalities and just like mindset on life. It felt like the perfect fit and something that I could really get a lot out of.
Amazing. So what made you make the investment? Because just so everybody knows, right now the program, it's like the program I'm running, and my rates for the last 6 months have been $3,000 to work with me for 3 months. And so we chatted about that a little bit. I don't feel like it was like a huge factor for you, but I know that we had that conversation about money and like what it's used for. So talk to me about what this investment looked like for you and any hesitations you had in it, if any.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not, you know, it's a lot of money. Like, it's an investment, right? And, you know, it was a big decision. But again, you know, I think we had a conversation in the beginning. It's like, you can either make this investment in you and see progress that you've been like dying to see, or you cannot and continue to be stuck. And like I said, like I could have done anything to not feel stuck anymore and just feel like I could gain back control over like the actions and the progress I wanted to see in my life. And so it made that decision a lot easier. And it's like, you know, you're doing it for yourself. How often are you spending money on other people or other things? Like spend the money on yourself, you know, and just like be a little selfish and make that decision for yourself.
Yes. I love, even when you say like, be a little selfish, it's like, just ask yourself, what do I need? Like, I remember when I first hired a coach, before I launched my business, before I declared myself a life coach, when I first hired a coach, I thought, I can't afford not to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I was so, I know that you related to me because you saw so much of my story in what you were experiencing. And really, just like you said, you can choose to make the investment and get the help you need. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny because I would not consider this therapy. It's like different than therapy. So I also think people should go to therapy, but it's like you can choose to make this investment and do the work that needs to be done to become who you desire to be, or you can continue to feel stuck for however long. But like, what is the point?
Yeah.
Why choose that?
Yep.
Why choose that? So thank
Even
you for
though
sharing
also
that.
you kind of became my therapist anyway, like because, so just like an added bonus in case you're looking for one, everybody.
I know. It's so funny because I do absolutely encourage people to go to therapy, especially for anything that might be trauma related. But I have a passion for life coaching because life coaching is focused on where you are today, where you desire to be, and figuring out what's keeping you from getting there. I don't care why necessarily you're wired this way. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it's like, who said something what that allowed you to think forever that money is evil? Like, who said that? It's helpful to just get clear on what that thought is that's keeping you stuck. But that being said, sometimes diving into and diagnosing what got you here isn't that helpful. All that matters is where you want to go and unblocking yourself from making that your reality.
Yeah.
So amazing. Um, when you decided to work with me, what did you want help with the most? How did we go to work on it? Do you still struggle with it today? How is it different? Do share.
Okay. So the crazy realization that happened for me in the beginning of all this was that I approached it at first like literally not knowing what to expect at all. So in my mind, I was like, okay, we're going to be doing maybe some type of like career or life goal planning and like guidance. And then, I've said this, Jeannie, to you before, but like day one, that's not what happened. And it was the best thing ever. And it just blew my mind because day one, I learned the hard and necessary lesson that I needed to be searching internally and not externally, and how it all became about how my brain was working, how I saw problems in my life that weren't actually problems, that I was just making myself think were problems. And so day one, I kind of had that mind shift, literally mind shift, of realizing, okay, I can do so much of this work internally by seeking, inside myself, inside my own brain, figuring out how I'm thinking, how I'm blocking myself. And then, the journey progressed from there. So yeah, I think that what I thought I was struggling with maybe wasn't what I was actually struggling with. It was just the way I was approaching everything, the way I was approaching things that I thought were problems and my own thoughts, and ending up realizing how I can embrace the way my brain is working, and looking at that in a positive way to sort of clear my own path.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said, you were talking about creating problems. And this is a lot of what I do. So much of what we create are problems in our minds that don't actually exist. And I'm not trying to diminish how they feel. I'm not saying it's all in your head. There are certainly problems that exist in our world. It exists in our life. However, we have the tendency to make things problems. And we also can learn how to see something differently that allows us to feel so much more empowered when it comes to our current situation. So, what problems come to mind that we want to work on that you realize maybe aren't actually problems, or you can somehow use them to your advantage?
Yeah. I know one for sure was like, I'm not where I think I should be, job wise, life wise, again,
Yes.
whatever.
And I'm sure everyone can relate to that.
Everyone.
Everyone
care.
can relate.
If you say
to
you
that
can't
thought.
relate, you're lying. Like, I don't believe you, right? Like,
exactly.
And it's just, and so it was realizing, spoiler alert, that like, why should you be there? Like, who says? And that's so much of like what you said again and again for me to start to realize that I was putting myself through this rigorous, just judgment, my own self-judgment about like where I should and shouldn't be and what I should and shouldn't be doing. And it was seeking validation from all these external sources, by no fault of my own, right? Or like anyone else's, if you feel the same way. It's like society tells you things, and your family even sometimes can have influences, or your friends, or whoever. And it was seeking that validation to a point where I was exhausted because I was trying to meet and exceed these expectations that were just not realistic. I mean, how many, like, seriously, it's crazy, but how many people can relate to that? Like, everybody.
Yeah.
And that was where I was feeling so bogged down and exhausted and frustrated. And that's where so much of our work, I think, impacted in a ton of different ways, like in a ton of different areas of my life. But it was just the reminder of, instead of seeking that validation externally, it was really going back to the point of, what do I want? What
Yeah.
a beautiful, freeing idea. What do I want? Like,
Isn't it funny? You
clean
were like,
slate.
why haven't I thought about that before?
Yeah, isn't it? It's just like, truly this work, and like, it's just, it sounds simple, but it really has such a mind-blowing impact. It's really, really great.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's a really good point, because I feel like a lot of what we cover, people can hear it and they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But unless you're doing the work to rewire your thoughts, it'll still surface more often than the healthier thoughts of who says, I love how you said, like, who can't relate to that? If you say that you can't relate to that, you're lying,
Mm-hmm.
because it's true. Our brains are wired to compare ourselves to one another and to think we should be more ahead than where we are. And it's just, it doesn't make you your best you. When you think that way, how does that make you feel? Discouraged, like you're not enough, like you've got to work 10 times harder. Like, who wants to feel that way?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants
Right.
to feel that way? And I just want to make a quick comment for anybody who is watching this. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments. If there's anything that Airin is saying that you could relate to, capture it in the comments. Feel free to throw Airin some likes as she's sharing her story. All of this is, yeah, let's get Airin some likes. But truly, I just want everybody, I think, can really relate to what you're saying, and everyone has been there. So how are you no longer, and I'm not gonna say no longer, because our brains, it's like, if you're 30-ish years old, you've had 30 years of your brain thinking I'm not enough. So
Yep.
we're not going to totally undo that in 90 days, but
Exactly.
we can catch it so much quicker and coach ourselves out of it. So how have you maybe experienced that since working together?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because it's not, we worked, like Jeannie said, for 3 months together, 1 week, 1 session a week. And that was amazing. And I have, those tools now to be able to, coach myself through a lot of these things, but it doesn't just magically get better. Like it truly feels like exercise for my brain, where I have to keep at it. And, there are times where I, go a few days without having that mindfulness, and like, I'm like, oh man, I got to get back on it. So it's a constant, like, it's work, but I think just the main thing is being more aware of my thoughts, more aware of the way that my brain works. And that's, something I got from you, is like, how is your brain working right now? So in a situation where you're seeking validation externally, or you're comparing yourself to others, it's like, just that reminder of like, oh, how's my brain working right now? Like, how am I approaching that right now? Like, that's interesting. Let's figure out why, and let's like dig deep, or whatever we need to do. I think it's that. And I also think it's feeling more optimistic about the possibilities that are out there. Because, cleaning up all of these ideas and thoughts and stress about the problems that really aren't problems, or, and whatnot. It's like, it feels like I have a lot more control over where I can go and what I can do. Because again, like, I'm reminding myself that it's like, it's what I want, it's what I desire. It's not what I think XYZ people or groups or whatever should, thinks that I should be doing. So you take back a lot of that control, and that feels great. That feels positive. That feels hopeful. It feels, powerful, empowering. Yeah, it feels great.
That's awesome. That's I I say this a lot, where my coaching helps you get clear on what you want and unblock yourself from making it a reality. All that Airin is talking about, these examples she's giving, these are ways that you are blocking yourself. You're blocking yourself from making it a reality when you think you should be somewhere that you're not, when you think you have to follow a certain path because other people are doing it, when you are seeking other people's validation. If that's something that is a quality of yours, what is that? Where's that going to bring you in terms of your own happiness and your own success and your own fulfillment? Where's that going to bring you? And all of these things, they might be small, but added up every day, you get deterred. You get really deterred from who you truly are, the life you authentically are designed to live. And it's hard. It makes it more challenging then to figure out how to get back on the path that's you. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because I have experience in this where I felt like I lost myself and then totally found myself again and was like, I got to teach everyone else how to do this, because I truly believe living your best, most authentic life is essential for everybody. And I believe that 99% of the people to live that life need life coaching, because of all of this other stuff that we don't even realize keeps it from being reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the action that you would take prior, because this is something that's come up for me in quite a few sessions, not just with you, but with other clients of mine, which I would call shiny object syndrome.
We talk about that a lot.
Exactly. So I have a few clients right now who are probably watching this and they are like, oh yes, Jeannie and I have dove into that before. So talk to me about what that looked like for you, or what kind of action you would take before versus the action that you take now.
Well, so again, it's like, I am sure there are people that can relate to the feeling where I get when I feel antsy or frustrated and I'm not seeing progress. What do? I just take more action. I'm like, move faster, do more, and like something will stick. And so, I was at a point where I just like didn't know what direction I wanted to take. So I was like, try everything, grasp at those straws. Like we called that graspy energy. And that's what I had, because I was like out of options and feeling frustrated and antsy. And so an opportunity would arise and I would snatch at it, just because it rose up in my life, and I was like, maybe this is right. And I had no, internal alignment on if I wanted to do it, if it was right, if it felt right. Like that compass, that real, like true internal compass, just felt like it was a little bit foggy. So yeah, shiny object syndrome, for sure. I mean, and it's again, so much of the world and around us is designed to, for us to fall victim to that. Totally. Unfortunately, it's like there are shiny objects all around us and on social media and on all of the things. And, it feels tempting to reach out for anything that looks like it could be something promising. But like to your point earlier, it could lead to you just going further away from your true self, which is not what we want.
Exactly. And that's what I think this all comes back to, which is when you get clear on who you are, what you want, what's meant for you, what's possible for you, all of these shiny objects, they lose their shine. They're just objects. And you see it as that. They're no longer shiny. They're no longer, I must take this. The same way I recently shared a post where when I first launched my business, I had a lot of opportunities come my way, not necessarily for my business. I launched my business and it was like everyone came my way and was like, oh, I have a job if you want to work for me full time. And when I was clear on what I wanted, who I was, and what I know is possible for me in this career, all of these opportunities that are so great, they're not that great. They're just opportunities. They're great for someone else, but they're just opportunities. And it's so hard to see them as just opportunities that you can definitely say no to when you don't know who you are, what you want, the reasons why you're going about this, it's so easy to say yes to everything. It's easy to get attracted to all these things because they do seem shiny.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk a little bit about the misconceptions that you had about coaching, because I know this is something that you're passionate about, telling other people about and shouting from the rooftops. So what did you think about coaching, or who was it for before we started working together? And now who would you say it's for? And
Yeah.
what do you want to say? What do you want to say to the people?
Let me say it to the people. Okay. I would, first of all, shout from the rooftops that like everybody could use coaching. And okay, so the way that I explain it, it's like, I personally didn't really know. I feel silly by saying this, but I didn't really know that life coaching was a thing. And the little that I could tell, like, I thought it was more of a thing for like business owners and CEOs and C-suite people. Like, I did not think that I was someone who could just do this. And I was like, well, I'm just working a normal job and I'm just like a normal 20-something-year-old person. But very quickly I realized that, yeah, like to your point, I sound like a salesperson, but I'm not. I'm a real human that is saying, like everybody could use it, especially with you, Jeannie, because I mean, just you're the best. Like, let's just say that. But it's for anyone in any, walk of life, any job, like any stage of your job, any stage of life, because everybody needs that little extra push to make a bigger change that you want to see. So, it's like you need that extra perspective. It's so helpful, especially when you're feeling stuck like I was and have been and have experienced, because it's hard to see a path forward when you're so fogged in your brain.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that the different perspective, the extra like cheerleader and kind of reminder of like what you're trying to do and organizing all your thoughts into a way that makes sense alone is enough, to do something like this. So yeah, so it's for everyone. Like, I mean, I know that you have a range of clients, and I'm really happy to have done this and to say that, like, yeah, for someone that I went to college, I have a job, I live, a great life, of course, and I'm grateful for everything I have, but it's like, I got so much out of this coaching in a 3-month time period. And I would I would recommend it to anyone.
That's amazing. Thank you. I feel so passionate about the work that I do that, like, to hear you say this is beautiful for many reasons, but also because I know it's true. Like, I am in such full belief of the work I do that investing in this will change your life. And when I say change your life, I think that this is a really good topic to bring up right now, like this concept of changing your life. When Airin started working with me, she might have thought in 90 days she was going to be like on TV and some sort of superstar. And I think the funny part is people can, I don't want to say people can think that, but it's like you get really excited about who am I going to be coming out of this? And I want you to kind of share a little bit about, like, who are you coming out of this, and in what way is this going to, I know you even said that we'll work together again, but is this going to help stay with you the rest of your life?
Oh man, yes. Like, yeah, honestly, yes. I have said this to you, and I tell my friends, like I tell my family, because it is a small but so critical change that I needed, and I didn't realize that I needed, about just trusting my instinct so much more, trusting my gut, like, really being intentional about the decisions that I'm making. That is going to be impactful for the rest of my life. And it's again, it's like something that when I say it, it sounds simple. It's like, well, obviously you're going to trust your gut, and come on, but it's with the lives that we are going around and busy living and trying to do all these things, it is such an important reminder that I think so many of us struggle to master and to find and to, you know, and
it's a muscle that needs to be strengthened, and it's a
yeah,
muscle that is not used
yeah,
by
yep.
everybody who's going to the gym every day. It's like it's like you can work on all these muscles, but the one of your mind and your intuition, when you work on that one, exercise that one, holy shit, it is incredible what happens, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even the first couple, I don't know, it was like session 4 or 5. Like it was one session where I came to you and you were like, yeah, what's going on this week? And I was like, I just have so much energy and I feel so great. And it was like, because I was,
Yes.
you know, totally immersed in this new way of thinking, and I was using it in all these different aspects of my life, you know, not just one. It was like wherever I could apply it to. And then you realize you can apply it more and more and more places. And it's just it was this feeling of like my brain finally being free and not like bogged down by all the issues and problems and worries and stress. And it's like it opened up this like optimism and
Yeah.
creativity and energy, like mental energy, where I actually felt like I could be creative and have new ideas and like explore possibilities while feeling good and not like stressed about it. And so it was like, I was like, yeah, I feel great. And you were like, okay. And like, I don't even think we talked about any issues that day, because that was the first, you know, first of many at this point, but like the first time where I was doing the work, I was being consistent, and I saw it pretty quickly like take shape in my life. It was
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. I just a quick plug for a documentary if anybody's interested in this stuff. There's a great documentary that's on Amazon Prime. It's called Heal, Heal, and it's about the power of your own mind. And really a big message of it is our thoughts weigh us down. Our thoughts make us sick. And it's because we are constantly in this not enough state, or we're holding on to past drama or even trauma. And it's like, it has nothing to do with the sickness in your body, but your brain creates the sickness. And so you might listen to this and think I'm out of my goddamn mind, and you might watch it and be like, no, cancer is real. Like, it does not come from your mind. And I'm, you know, somewhere in between. But all I'm saying is, when you're thinking really unhealthy thoughts, it's gonna come out in your body. And that's why I think a lot of people are attracted to working with me, and why so commonly I get commended on my energy. Everyone's like, how are you like this? Like, how are you smiling every day? How do you have this energy every day? And it's because of the thoughts I think. It's because of what I allow into my life, because of what I have let go. And it's just, I mean, it's freeing.
Yeah.
Just like you said.
And one of the things I want to add to that is like, it's not easy. Like it's hard work. And from someone like you, Jeannie, you know, if people like go in and watch your Instagrams, it's like you are noticeably a very positive, uplifting, smiley person. And I think one of the misconceptions I maybe had also in the beginning of working with this is the idea that it was all going to be sunshine and rainbows, and just, oh, we're talking about our, you know, hopes and dreams, and, you know, we're up in the sky. And sure, it is some of that. And I think some amount of optimism is required, because, you know, you need that sort of forward motivation and whatnot. But it's hard work, and it's hard work to be consistent with it too. And that's why it's so commendable that you continue this energy, because it shows. And now that I sort of have a very light, but, you know, I have this perspective on how to get it done, I know that it's hard work. It takes consistency. It takes, you know, dedication, again, just like you would if you were like working out physically and going to the gym every day. So what we worked on, it was like it was tough conversations too. Like, it was digging deep. It was facing fears, some that I knew I had, some that I didn't know I had, some that I hadn't told anybody before. It was being vulnerable. It was like admitting faults that I felt like, okay, I gotta face this. Like, this is something that's holding me back, and let's talk through it. And that's where the biggest growth happens, I think, it in general. But like, yeah, I guess I just want people to know that it's like, this is all smiles because it's great stuff. But
Yeah.
it is also
It's tough.
vulnerability and facing fears and hard work, and to me that's exciting because that's
Mhm.
where growth happens.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the life coaching really like takes off.
That's so, so good. I always say when my clients are, I allow my clients to text me throughout the week. And at least once during the 12 weeks, someone will say, this is really hard, or that session was really hard. And I'm like, good for you, because this is hard work people do not do. It's so easy to pretend everything is okay. It's so easy to just, I don't know, to ignore what you want out of life, and to just pretend that it doesn't exist forever. And it's like, when you come to me, when my clients come to me and say, I'm ready to work through this because I'm not where I want to be, or I think I should be somewhere else. When they come to me and say those things, it's so beautiful because I can't wait to show them how they're going to feel when they realize everything that they want and desire is totally available to them.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do the hard work and they talk about their criticism, I think a really big one that I'm grateful for. First, I'm so grateful when my clients are vulnerable with me, which they all are, because you have to be if you're going to do this work. But to have the conversations I have, and when my clients, when sometimes we get down to what's going on and why they have a fear of blank, it's because they criticize others for it. And we're all human, we're all flawed, we all judge, we all have that. But when you pretend you don't, that is what blocks you from being who you desire to be in this world and from being your best self. So when my clients bring up the judgment that they might have towards others or towards themselves, I think it's the healthiest of my sessions, because we can really get to the root of, why are you afraid to do this yourself? Why are you afraid to tell someone your goals? And it's like, all these fears bubble up, all of these not enoughs bubble up, or every time someone else says their goals and they fail, you're judging them. It's like, hell yes, let's dig through this and let's rewire this in a way that we can figure out how to make it incredibly inspiring instead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was a little much. Um,
No,
what if
great.
what advice would you give someone who's watching this and struggling with what you struggled with? This might be quick advice, but
Yeah, hire Jeannie, I don't know.
I'm like
I
reading
mean,
that. I'm like, I didn't mean to beat a dead horse. I really didn't.
no, yeah, I think people get it, but for good reason. But I think like don't give up. I don't, I think that everyone has gotten to a point where you're like, I'm out of options. But like, I promise you're not out of options. People like Jeannie are here to help us work through these
Totally.
things, or just in general, realize that like, if you're feeling like you're out of options or you're frustrated, it might be time to do the work internally rather than looking at all the other shiny objects in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And a life coach like Jeannie can definitely help you do that work. And if you're ready, like if you're really ready to commit to it, I think like go with that instinct. I feel like I felt like I was ready to really take a leap and make a change and do some work. And so if you're feeling like that, then, go with that instinct.
Amazing. Um, this is something that I want to just share quickly. So when a new client joins my program, I send them a new client workbook. And there are a series of questions in there that allows them to really thought dump. Like, I want to know what's going on up here. I want to know what's blocking you before we start really diving into our sessions. And one thing that you wrote down, this is before we started, you wrote down, I want you to help me make the impossible feel possible. And it was our last session, I think, when you brought that back up. And so I'd love for you to share, do you feel we accomplished that? And if so, how?
Oh man, that like makes me emotional. Yeah, that's truly how I was feeling. Like this life that I'm dreaming about, or these possibilities, I just don't know how to get there, and it feels impossible, like it feels out of reach. But I swear, like I'm not just saying this. It, I truly, if I were to describe the experience of working with you, like that's how I would describe it. That we worked through making the impossible feel possible. Be simplifying what I thought was impossible into, stuff that I could really tangibly see and feel, and say this is possible for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it takes a lot of different, we worked in a lot of different avenues of my life, like, but I think that that's what it drills down to, is like just cleaning it all up, making crazy big things seem like, yeah, I can manage it. I can do it.
So good. So good. So as you know, and just so anybody who might have joined in the last 20, 30 minutes and missed the intro. So I'm running a coaching program right now. We're launching in 2 weeks is when we're getting started. So I'm currently receiving applications for it, and it's called You Elevated. So it is a hybrid program of my traditional model of working one-on-one with my clients for 12 weeks. But it also has this added component. And this added component is every 2 weeks we get together as a group and I teach some sort of topic that will elevate you in your life or in your business towards being who you want to be. And so Airin, that wasn't available when we first started coaching together. How do you feel like you would have liked that? What are your thoughts on that format? Do share.
Yeah. So I think that it's really, that approach is great, because when we worked together, it was one-on-one, and I really liked the way that I could just kind of bring whatever to each weekly session. And like, at first it was hard. I was like, what am I going to talk about? But eventually, like very quickly, it was like, I always had multiple things, and we were like, okay, we're running out of time. But anyway, but I loved the, personalization of each individual session. But I think having a component of group sessions where I could hear stories from other people that might be going through something similar than I am, or B, just like, hearing the solutions and maybe applying those to my own life and situations on something that maybe we don't get time to talk about in our one-on-one sessions, I think is great. And I am personally, I love the aspect of community and community building, and I'm always looking for different ways to expand my own personal community with things like small businesses and supporting them and supporting the environment. And I think now more than ever, we're all wanting to find different communities of people who we feel like are going through similar things or who enjoy similar things. So that this component, especially now, having that extra almost sort of tribe, going through
Yeah.
certain things, I think is really powerful.
Awesome. I'm so excited to build this tribe. And just so everyone knows, this is where this came from, is I love working through my one-on-one sessions. That's why I didn't want to go like straight to group coaching. But there are certain things that I want to cover from a high level standpoint that I want, like, I'm not going to show up to my session with Airin and be like, here's what we're working on today. And I think that that's the misconception, is like that I bring everything to the table and I'm like, here's what we're working through. What's important to me is that I meet you where you are. I find out what's going on in your world, in your head, and we work through that. But twice a month, what we're going to be doing in this new program, and You Elevated, is me bringing a larger topic to the table that will allow you to live your more authentic, elevated life, such as, let's talk about the environment that you surround yourself with. I know one of our sessions there, and we got to that where you're like, yeah, there are some Instagram accounts that kind of make me feel like crap. And I'm like, well, let's talk about it. And so it was like a hybrid model there. We're like, we're unfollowing these people, but these people we're looking to as inspiration. And what makes you think that what they have is not available to you and is not in your future? And it's such an important thought to bring to the table, and a really important I'm glad that we worked through that, but we don't work through that in every client session of mine. And that's just a piece of how your environment can affect you, whether it can elevate you and lift you up and inspire you and others, or it can make you feel drained and worse. And like you aren't actually someone that's picking yourself up or other people. So that's just an idea of what we would be working on in You Elevated, is getting you to think big, believe big, break through the fear and self-doubt, and create an environment that allows you to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Airin, last question for you as of right now, unless anybody else has any other questions for Airin, but how do you feel like you're living a more authentic life since working with me?
I feel like I've sort of already said it, but like, you know, just to sum up, I feel like I'm a lot more in control of the like path that I'm going on, the decisions I'm making, like the forward motion I'm taking. And I didn't mean to rhyme just then, but it happened and it's fine. Yeah, I feel more, like I said, optimistic. When I was, you know, jotting down notes the other day and just thinking about this, it was like, I feel more creative, which I don't know, like that seems kind of like a out of left field one, but I
Yeah,
feel
like an
more
interesting
creative.
byproduct, but
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
because my brain has more space to just like do the things it wants to do.
yeah.
I feel, you know, it's like, again, it takes consistency and work. And so I'm finding other ways to like build up this mental muscle, and I'm continuing to do that. And it feels empowering. I feel like the decisions I'm making in my life are like ones that I feel like I have control over, and that I'm saying, okay, does this feel aligned to what I want? And I can like confidently answer that and move forward in certain things, which is, yeah, it's a really good, empowering feeling.
So cool. So cool. So good. Lights me up. This is why I wake up every day feeling like $1,000,000. It's because I have clients like Airin who are getting these kinds of transformations. And honestly, thank you, Airin. I just want to take a moment and say, Airin, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing what you're struggling with. Thank you for sharing just your thoughts on coaching and spreading the good word about how available it is to everybody, because sometimes people really need to see somebody like them struggling with, it sounds terrible, but like struggling with something that they struggled with, to realize I'm not alone and I can do something about this.
Yeah,
So,
totally. And if anyone like has any questions too and like wants to ask me privately, like by all means, slide into those DMs. Like I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
slide into Airin's DMs. She opened up her DMs. Everyone slide in there.
I know, maybe that was a mistake.
I mean, I would love it if a ton of people slid into your DMs. That would be a beautiful thing. So, but really, don't hesitate to reach out to Airin if you have other questions for her. If you have questions for me, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm so glad that we did this. I just wanted for you all to meet Airin, to meet somebody else that I've been working with and to hear their story, and to really hear their story and hear about what they were going through, hear about how coaching had impacted them and helped them, so that you can help make the decision. So this helps make a decision for you on whether or not coaching is right for you. So that's really ultimately why I love going live with my clients. And so Airin, thank you so much. And just to sum up, I'm currently enrolling new clients for this You Elevated program. If you have interest in it, don't hesitate to go to the link in my bio. There's a fact sheet, there's an application, so please apply for it. All applications need to be in by March 30th, and we're getting started on April 4th. So do not hesitate on applying. And once again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either of us. Airin, you're a doll. It's so lovely to see your face. I've missed you
too,
on my
Jeannie. I
Tuesdays.
miss your face.
I miss your face. And truly, I feel like knowing that you're like 4 miles from me is like bothersome almost. So
someday we'll meet in person.
We'll meet in person. I will follow up with you and we'll get that on the calendar. So thank you.
All right.
Everyone, I hope you have an awesome afternoon to your Tuesday, and I will see you next time. Bye, Airin.
Bye.